Okay, and with that being said, I think we should talk about the bow.
Part.
Yeah, let's talk about the bow. Everyone wants to talk about the bow.
You guys waited enough. Let's get to it.
Bow confirmed for real now. So let's just look at it. We will have so much stuff to show you here, so you won't be disappointed. So let's look at it. As you can see, it may have multiple arrow types, possibly.
we've pulled that one before, then. So let's show them.
Yeah. Okay. So the hunting bow is going to be a new medium slot weapon. You will have to hold the fire button to charge a shot, just like you would do with a bow, obviously. You will be able to equip multiple custom ammunition on it as well, if you unlock them, obviously. So it will carry 4 types of arrows, including the base one. So the base one and 3 new.
It will have 4 to choose from, but it can carry 2 at a time, basically, as normally the single shot weapons do.
Yes,
it's down to how you equip them before, whether it's regular arrows or any of the custom arrow types that we talk about in a second. What's also very interesting here is that as a medium slot weapon, right, it offers a lot of different tactical options for you guys and how to incorporate it into your loadout. Like for example, there's always been one of the downsides of the crossbow or some of the more specialist weapons that you kind of are committed if they are a large slot weapon, right? Which makes sense because crossbow is a very powerful choice, especially with some of the ammunition types it has. But the bow is much more of a flexible weapon, which we'll see in a minute as we talk about and actually see the gameplay. So that's why we decided to make this a medium slot weapon, so you can pair it up with quartermaster, or you can go and pair it up with 2 medium weapons. And since it's actually rather precise, even at medium distances, it actually still can go very nicely hand in hand, for example, with a dual wield set or a shotgun or anything which is more close range. So it will be interesting to see what type of kits, what loadouts you guys come up with to combine them. Be that like a special ammunition shotgun with it, or be that like still maybe like the classic Mosin Obres for safety purposes. It's up to you guys. Will be very interesting to see. On top of that, it also comes with 2 new supporting traits. So these are 2 traits that work exclusively for the hunting bow, which we'll also talk about in a second. And then, yeah, when the event is over, this bow will be available for rank 54. But obviously, keep in mind that while the event is running, so for the next 4 weeks, you will have to unlock it through the progression of the event. So if you choose the progression with a bow, it will be very quickly unlocked. But if you choose the one with the throwing axe, then you have to first complete that before you can go to the bow progression and then get it. In the end of the day, everybody will still be able to go and complete both progressions. But once the event has concluded, and for example, you didn't participate in the event, shame on you, then you will still have a chance to unlock the bow in a normal progression. So none of the gameplay elements are exclusive for the event. They're just obtainable first through the event's duration. Once the event is over, they are a regular part of the game, and you can unlock them in a normal manner.
And the same goes to the arrow types as well as the traits. For now, you will unlock it through the event, but obviously after that's over, you will unlock it regularly, like you do it with everything else in the game. And it will come with a cost of $97 in the store after the event, or even during the event, right?
So during the event, you still have to pay for it.
Still have to buy it.
But yeah, it's basically it's I think a very fair price for what it can do, the flexibility it gives you. So yeah, but again, let's see if you guys think otherwise. Let us know, give us feedback, and as we do always, I'm pretty sure the future patches might then adjust it up or down depending on what we see. But let's have a first look at the bow now. So as you can see now, this has a charge mechanic, right? So that means unlike the crossbow, just like pressing the button will not give you a very strong shot because it still pulls a little bit with a delay and then fires with a low power. Only if you keep the button pressed will it actually start keeping charging up and go to the maximum power setting. So you have a trade-off with this weapon between being able to kind of like rapid fire or kind of spam arrows even to a certain extent, Obviously, they drop off much faster. They actually have weaker damage and slower travel time, slower travel speed. But you have a chance to actually keep on shooting, which gives it much more flexibility. However, if you want to go for that precision shot, this is when you have to pull in. Obviously, you can't sprint during that time. You know bow and arrow probably from so many other games, so you kind of know what to expect there. And just gives you a chance to do like these mid-range precision shots also, or just up close, just bring targets down much faster because of the higher power and therefore also the higher damage that the charged shot will do.
Let's look at
So
some
this is
gameplay.
rather straightforward. Yeah, so we can go to the next one. So this one here is basically just like to see how this goes against grunts. Again, if you shoot at the grunts, depending on where you hit them, sometimes it might not be enough to kill them. This has been weak shots. And the last one here has been a power shot. Obviously, you must mostly kill like a grunt with the power shots, unless maybe you hit him in the leg or so. So nothing really out of the ordinary there. But that means basically if a couple of grunts are rushing you, even with a bow and arrow, you can just quickly usually fight them off if you have a couple arrows left. And the fire rate is rather high for the low, weak shot, basically. So you have a chance to fight them quite effectively. It's a very great tool technically, or it's a weapon, but obviously as a multi-purpose tool for you as a player in your sandbox that can complement very nicely like players who are either running around solo or trying to prefer stealth gameplay. And it's a very nice alternative, for example, to the Nagant pistol or dual Nagant pistol silencers, or any of the large slot silence weapons.
Yeah, this one shows the cancellation.
Yeah, so basically, if you press the reload button, you will basically undraw. You will cancel the draw. So you don't need to do any weird like quick swap weapons, whatever, in order to like swap to another gun and then go back in order to cancel. You will just be able to just cancel it. So in case you miscalculated or the target has been killed by your partner before, whatever, you can just press the reload button and it will cancel the charge.
Yeah, and some of you already asked if you can retrieve arrows or not. Well, here's your answer.
Of course you can, if you can find them. But luckily for you guys, the latest update also has adjusted the bolt seer trait, which also works with arrows. So if you are, if you like the type of person like myself who just like loses track of all their stuff all the time, like this trait actually helps you quite a bit in order to retrieve at least a good amount of them in case you had a kind of stressful fight.
Yeah, let's take a look at that once more. Meanwhile, we can answer like some people asked if you is it special ammo or can you loot them from ammo boxes?
So this is special ammo, just like the crossbow bolts. You will get them from special ammo boxes or your own ammo box if you bring one. That being said, though, there is a higher capacity with arrows, for example, compared to the bolts, just because you have this higher rate of fire and the chance to also fire them as a weaker shots. So this is a little bit down to you. That depending on which arrow types you kind of put in. Keep in mind you have 2 ammo slots, right? So you can either bring 2 normal ones or you bring a special one or 2 special ones, really up to you, and have a chance to kind of adjust this to your playstyle. As long as you can find them and retrieve them, usually I never run out of arrows, but in some prolonged fights it can really happen. Or if you start using special ammo types, obviously, because I mean some of them might not be retrievable.
Yeah, and meanwhile we can look at the
PvP part. You have a chance to do some really nice like tricks with this. Like so, with the crossbow, for example, the problem is always that you have a very long reload time, right? So you have a very fixed time between shots. Here you can do combinations. You can do your primed, really powerful initial shot, and if that doesn't kill, you have a chance to follow up with like some weaker arrows. Like here, as you can see, like you hit him around the tower, then he's running away, and you just give him like a small little weak shot, which was enough in this case to down the player. So just makes it very flexible. Arrows do bleeding, just like the bolts do. So that means if you get hit by a weak shot, obviously that's a weak bleeding effect. If you get hit by a full charge shot, that might give you a stronger bleeding effect. So it's just something you guys have to play around with a little bit, get a feeling for it. It will feel very intuitive very quickly. Like it's very satisfying to do kills with a bow and arrow, and overall usually good fun. What we've seen in testing so far.
Yeah, meanwhile we can look at the longer range fight scenario.
Yeah, here, so like bow and arrow is awesome,
Dead.
but it's not always winning. So obviously, the longer the range, the more you will be seeing yourself at a disadvantage. As like you have to consider the drop, you have to consider the lead time. I mean, an arrow flies with I think it's like a 200 something meters a second, which is rather slow. So in this particular case, then it might be hard for you to actually use it effectively at longer distances. But if someone is actually holding still, if you've spotted like someone behind like some cover somewhere on the side, peeking out, you can do some really impressive long range shooting with a bow and arrow as well. If you hit.
Yes. And then one of a stealthier gameplay.
As you can see, yeah, like I mean, it's like with any weapon you would have had, probably you would have made that kill, but just like making that with a bow and arrow as a science weapon, it's just super satisfying. It feels really, really good. So much of this weapon is about just the feeling of it, the play style, and just like kind of role playing a little bit, playing like really like stealthy. I mean, just imagine like the new models using them, or also even like some of the more savage hunters we have, like Kane, just running around with that thing. It's very, very impressive and makes you feel really, really cool if you manage to like pull off some of these kills. But then again, you're up against rifles, you're up against like modern weaponry, so a bow and arrow isn't automatically always the best choice. So that's why it's good to be able to complement it as a medium slot weapon with other weapons as well, so that you can choose when the right time for the bow and arrow is and when to maybe resort back to a shotgun or a rifle or some other weapon, or maybe your second bow. It's also a possibility.
And as you saw it in the clip, you can insta-burn hunters with style this time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the community will buy into that argument, but let's just leave it as that.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do the event points if you do that, so... I mean, unless you put it out, obviously. Okay, and we mentioned that it comes with multiple arrow types as well, so let's take a closer look at those.
Yeah, so the first one is the poison arrow. Kind of goes without saying, it's rather straightforward. This one is actually very interesting because it's different to what you already know from the hand crossbow with the poison bolts, which on the hand crossbow, it kind of like impacts and then shatters and leaves a cloud for some time on the spot, right? That's different with the poison arrow. The poison arrow actually remains intact because it still has a normal pointy tip, like a broadhead, and that means it sticks to targets. It only does the poison damage though initially, but it also does bleeding damage. So you get poison and bleeding in one weapon, and one ammo type, which is really, really powerful. And on top of that, you can also retrieve the arrows. The downside, however, is that you only have very few of those arrows available. So we're talking about like 3 extra arrows compared to, I think it is 8 extra arrows from the regular ones. So if you bring poison arrows, they're very powerful, but you want to be really taking good care of them, because like if you just bring 2 sets of poison arrows, that leaves you at 6 + 1, 7 arrows, and that's not a lot. So you want to be very, very careful with that. So sometimes you just want to combine it with other arrow types, or you want to go complete in. But as you can see here, like, I mean, it's super powerful. You just hit AI anywhere, right, and they kind of die very quickly, or like a power shot, even at distance, can kill it armored. It's a very effective weapon against AI, like all poison ammo usually is. It's favoring towards the AI and killing AI. And because of the bleeding damage and the high damage, you can obviously still do some really good killing against even hives with this one. But you just have to understand and learn when to do power shots, like when you charge them up, or when you can maybe just like, if you have good aim, just like drop enemies briefly by just like doing a weak shot. So mastering the bow is a very interesting challenge, and it's very good fun.
Exactly, and I think in this video you could even see how you switch between the ammo types, which some of you has asked that right there. I mean, not ammo, but arrow types this time. Yeah.
Both works. Yeah, like with the poison, any hit would have just done it, right? In this case, I mean, we're talking about killing grunts, obviously, which is like the biggest of feats you can pull off in this game. But still, like being able to just like reliably dismiss and dispatch like some of the AI is powerful. Obviously, here like a power shot against an emulator with poison allows you to still kind of make him blow up and die. And the hive, I mean, if you hit the head, that's still gonna be the end of that hive.
Exactly.
So the immolator basically blows up because there's still basically a tip, right? It still pierces the skin. So it's the same way as if you for example use an axe against the immolator or bomb lance, right? They still go off, but they die instantly in this case. So that's what effect you've just seen there on the red tracks with the immolator dying from the poison, but still because you pierce the skin, he blows up in his final act of defiance.
Awesome. And then we also have 2 other types of custom arrows, so to speak. Let's take a look at frag arrows.
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one. So everybody goes like, "Oh my God, frag explosive." No, don't worry. So this thing has an impact fuse, but it's a delayed impact fuse. That means whenever it hits like the ground or an enemy, whatever, it takes like a second and a half roughly before it blows up. So there's a delayed fuse in it, which means this is really cool for like shooting into rooms or like being a bit more tactical about it. But it's actually not that good in direct combat because people can get quite some distance to it before it goes up, and this is also not lethal. Like it will take some damage, and it is inconvenient because it does the bleeding as it is a frag charge, not a dynamite or explosive charge. But this is more of a instrument to flush players out or enemies out. Obviously, you can also use it against AI, as we will see in the video in a second. But it's not the main purpose. This one is something you can use in order to stir up chaos. Like you shoot it up in a hunting tower on the lantern's burst. Using it against AI is not the preferred way of using it. And if someone is running away from moving around, you will not be able to really lead that target in an open field and make reliable hits against them. So this is a very weak charge, so direct hits will not insta-kill any players. It's purely relying on the fragmentation, bleeding damage, and it's just an annoyance rather than a direct kill weapon. For that, you want to use your regular arrows. But it's a nice tactical piece of your Swiss Army knife, where you can just pull it out at the right moment in order to get a tactical advantage.
Some people are asking if you can diffuse it.
I don't think so at the moment, honestly. It's similar to like the bomb lance, like that. This is internally consistent that it is not diffusible. We might add that at a later point. It might systemically interact with the choke. I'm not 100% sure how exactly that is in the final implementation we did,